Like if you know, like the stuff we had up here, did you come when the whole wall was covered?
No.
Okay, like when we did couture and then into ready-to-wear, like from one end to the other, it was covered.
Okay.
And it started off this end with warrior queens in chronological order.
Right.
Which then now is in a little book.
Okay.
So what we took, what was on the wall, yeah, exactly, came off the wall and went in the book.
Okay. So is this how you normally work? Like you always put everything on the wall first?
Yeah. Then you get to a point where you realize you need to distill.
Yeah.
You know, so some things you put up instinctively and you like, but you're not quite sure. They stay or they go. And then we remove it and we have folders which we collate the back images, because sometimes, you know, you shift. It's like a weird place that you're in where you don't know what you're defining. And you open up, I guess.
Yeah.
And you open your filters slightly, and then you let everything in, and that shifts and changes. It's like a kind of sort of set of ingredients, I think. Right. And then, and so it kind of goes on the wall, it comes down, then we'll have a discussion, or we'll have different sketchbooks, and also like you might go off on a little journey separately, bearing in mind there's two of us. You might watch, and it can be again this thing about low-high culture. You can watch something really trashy on TV, but it can just spin you somewhere.
Yeah.
So the wall goes up, it shifts and changes, it creates a whole, it would be a lovely time lapse, you know, it's like a shifting waters, if you like.
Right.
So at the moment, it serves 2 or 3 purposes. I think you have your ongoing language.
Yeah.
And from that, things drop down into projects. That project could be a ready-to-wear collection, a couture collection. This is also trying to focus towards Arnhem, which is the Biennale we've been asked to be part of in a month's time.
You know, one of my questions for you is about, you know, the transition from showing to on the runway and in a studio space to showing in a virtual space. Because I know you're one of the first to begin like showing your collections digitally, like online. And so can you just talk about that shift? Do you see it becoming like a larger shift in general? And like what are like the challenges that come with like, you know, showing your clothing in that way?
I mean, I think it's a natural part of the development of everybody's language right now. So then yes, everybody will move that way. I mean, if you look at the people I would admire, like Micha Prada, you know, worked with an animating team. I feel like hers was almost a little bit of a testing ground for her. But, you know, when someone like that, who is the opposite spectrum to us in many ways, you've got to know that that's the way everyone will go forward, because not because it's fashion-led, just because it's life-led. It's just our evolution as people. And yes, there are fors and against that. But for us, it worked really successfully because you can involve all the mediums. You can involve the medium of text and sound, and you can explore an identity with less restrictions, I think. And that's a freedom that as a creative company you really welcome.
And it seems like it's easier to control too.
Yeah, and it's really powerful, the virality, if there's such a word in the world. This has a lot of warrior queens in it too. This one went through lots of different imagery that had all sorts of moments in it.
Yeah, so you can just see some of her research. So impressive. And it's just so hard to believe that there's only one book.
This is a great lady. Yeah, I know. And the lady, Eleanor of Aquitaine, what do they say? The most potent concentration of forces in feudal Europe, the relationship contained enough sex, power, and ambition to fuel a Hollywood movie.
Oh my God.
She was 13. He was 19. Catherine de Medici. She was an intense lady. Yeah. They're really quite beautiful in their details. House of Medici. This is Jenga. We only have these 2 images of her. We found her harder. This is the boy girl. This is the Swedish queen, as you can see. She's a little tough looking.
Totally.
And there's the Garber, Queen Christina. I mean, these are quite small images that we just got from the internet as well, a lot of the time.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's a great book. I mean, I think it seems relevant. It seems global. It seems, you know, full of lots of values.
Yeah.
And you know, like these are proper prints. they're quite incredible in many ways. I feel like if you do it properly, you almost need to go to the country, to go to their kind of historic libraries. You know, like in London, there's what's it called, sort of Oriental and African Society or something that had little information on Queen Jinka, but really not a lot.
Right.
But I was kind of surprised.
Yeah,
you know?
I find it
it's just London,
really sad.
you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like you almost maybe need to go to Africa or go to India or go to like even with a lot of the French queens. I think you probably went to like maybe the local town would have a great library with some books and images that you would find more information on.
Right.
I think it feels like you need to go further afield. It's just not as even, and we didn't, like, this is not all internet. We went to the British Library, went to quite a lot of places.
But there's clearly a dearth of information.
Because I have to say, like, not being a historian,
yeah,
this is where, like, knowledge is just brilliant. But I sometimes, and you know, Brian and I talk about it a lot, like, how do you hold it all? It's like I have to underline so much these days in books. It's the only way I can begin to, like,
perfect.
I still can't remember. I can't remember the book I read it in.
I think sometimes it's just you're reading so much and consuming so much information that it just becomes like impossible. Like sometimes when you push one thing in, like it pushes something else further to the back or out.
Or I totally agree. But I also think sometimes what happens is maybe you have to wait for it all to set the sand to settle, and then it makes sense. It needs like a partner, because obviously like your brain is different to your brain's going different to mine. We all have different collective, not collective, but our histories of knowledge. And so for the new information to align, to remain, it needs to wait for its partners before it can settle.
Right.
And you hold it, maybe.
Thank you. You're great.
I'm sorry, they're hard.